It's December 1287. 30,000 Mongol warriors face a harsh Polish winter. The planet's most terrifying army is now sweeping across the border. More than mere soldiers, these were Genghis Khan's unstoppable heirs. They had crushed empires for decades, but Poland had a trap waiting. These invaders had previously conquered China, razed Persia to the ground, and forced Russian princes to submit. This nation had been brutalized twice before, causing deep national trauma. It was a terrifying history, whispered by. The invasion was led by Talabuga Khan and Nogai Khan, two of the era's finest commanders. Confidence was high. Poland had always proven an easy target. What would make this invasion different? Yet, as their vast army split into two groups, pushing deep into Polish lands, they were oblivious to their They never conceived this campaign would result not in an easy triumph, but in a rare Mongol defeat. It was an absolute, undisputed rout, securing Poland's future from further Mongol incursions. This narrative reveals how one nation, on the verge of collapse, transformed past failures into formidable strengths, halting a force considered globally invincible. To grasp the sheer audacity of Poland's triumph, one must first examine the Mongol military system. By the 1200s, they had refined their approach transcended mere numerical superiority. It involved unparalleled speed, precise coordination, and ruthless effectiveness previously unseen in medieval Europe. Their cavalry formed the core. Every Mongol, a skilled rider and expert archer, their powerful composite bebels pierced. Their signature maneuver, the feigned retreat, was a psychological warfare masterpiece. They would charge, engage briefly, then simulate a chaotic withdrawal. As foes, sensing victory, broke ranks and pursued, the concealed Mongol detachments would strike their flanks, while the supposedly fleeing troops would suddenly turn, leaving the pursuers entrapped in a deadly killing zone. However, they weren't merely mounted warriors. They excelled in intelligence gathering. Mongols utilized intelligence, dispatching scouts years ahead to map landscapes, pinpoint political divides, and assess military power. When their main force finally arrived, they understood your realm better than its rulers. Thus, when Talabuga and Nogai formulated their strategy for the 1287 invasion, while Nogai guided 10,000 elite cavalry south, their scheme was brutal and direct: strike swiftly and powerfully, preventing the Poles from organizing, then withdrawing before winter's harshest grip. This tactic had succeeded twice previously, proving to be an easy conquest for any Pole in 1287. The initial invasion in 1241 proved a nationwide disaster. Mongol forces advanced so rapidly that fractured Polish duchies failed to mount an effective defense. During the Battle of Legnica, Duke Henry the Pious, the Polish commander, met his end, his head displayed on a spear. The implication was stark. Defiance was pointless. The 1259 invasion proved equally savage. Cities burned, countless people were slain or enslaved. A whole generation developed profound fear. Facing Mongols meant flight. Yet, over 46 years since the initial calamity, things shifted. Poles confronted a harsh reality. Their traditional defense methods were self-destructive. Wooden forts, historically protected. Therefore, Poland reconstructed, this time with stone. This undertaking transcended mere building. It represented a strategic paradigm shift. Key cities like Krakow, old timber walls were demolished, replaced by formidable stone fortifications, sturdy enough to withstand siege engine bombardment. New towers offered overlapping lines of fire for crossbows and catapults. This was not for show, but for sheer survival. This directly countered Mongol warfare. Polish military strategists, particularly Duke Leszek II the Black, uncovered the Mongols' hidden vulnerability. Their prime asset, mobility, was also their most significant flaw. while formidable in open field engagements and rapid incursions, prolonged attritional sieges were not. Down forces, allowing defenders time for reinforcements. Sieges transformed mobile warfare into an attrition campaign, a conflict the Mongols were ill-suited for. Thus, he avoided confronting a vast army in open combat. Instead, he deployed a brilliant three-pronged defensive strategy. First, consolidate, gather his troops within the new stone fortresses, allowing them. Second, harass and hinder. Employ local partisan units to strike smaller Mongol raiding groups separating from the primary force. Third, the decisive counterattack. When the Mongols became fatigued, exasperated, and dispersed, strike with a powerful, focused assault. Leszek commanded around 15,000 soldiers, insufficient for a direct. He arrayed his primary army to impede Talabuga's northern push, reinforced the fortresses, and anticipated. The storm approached, but this time Poland stood prepared. Early December saw Talabuga's 20,000-strong north. However, upon reaching Sandomierz, they encountered a literal barrier. The city, twice conquered previously, now defiantly held its new stone defenses. Mongol attacks were repelled. Their arrows proved. The Mongol war machine halted for the first time. Frustrated, Talabuga bypassed the settlement and proceeded, though his forces faced incessant harassment from Polish guerrillas. Subsequently, on December 20th, near the town of Wagów, he had diligently shadowed the Mongols, awaiting the opportune moment. As Mongol strength diminished from scattered raiding units, Leszek then struck them. The engagement was merciless and drawn out. Precisely the conflict Polish knights maintained their position, and the Mongol assault shattered against a disciplined barrier of shields and steel. For the first occasion in their Polish campaigns, the Mongols fled. The withdrawal and became a complete rout. Talabuga's weary, injured column retreated. Meanwhile, Genghis Khan's southern column, 10,000 elite cavalry, reached Krakow's gates on Christmas Eve, totally ignorant of their northern counterparts' defeat. However, they discovered a formidable stronghold. The ensuing siege proved catastrophic. Mongols endured severe losses. Legend claims local raftsmen launched a surprise night raid on the Mongol encampment, slaying their siege commander. Regardless of the legend's veracity, the outcome remained constant. Nogai's siege collapsed. He ceased the assault and dispersed his troops for rural raids, a desperate, ultimately fatal decision. With Talabuga vanquished, Duke Leszek rushed his army south. Yet, he wasn't solitary. He had summoned assistance from Hungarian allies. A joint Polish-Hungarian army, renowned for its heavy cavalry, now pursued the fragmented Mongol raiding detachments. In January 1288, one such group was located. A 1,000-man Mongol detachment was besieging the town of Stary Sanch. The Polish-Hungarian relief force attained total surprise, annihilating. More a massacre. Upon learning of this catastrophe, Nogai understood his campaign was finished. His ambitious invasion had become a catastrophe. His troops were dispersed, defeated, and relentlessly pursued. Late January saw him order a full withdrawal. So, what transpired? How was the seemingly unstoppable halted? The answer lay in two factors. First, internal rivalries. Talabuga and Nogai, being rival, failed to coordinate. They functioned as distinct armies, enabling the Poles to conquer them sequentially. A prime example of political infighting, causing organizational failure. Second, and critically, Poland had innovated. The stone fortresses fundamentally altered the conflict. They negated Mongol mobility, compelling. Poland triumphed by learning from past mistakes. They analyzed their adversary, recognized their own deficiencies, and spent 50 years systematically. They employed their familiar tactics, never anticipating their adversaries' evolution. The repercussions were immense. The legend of Mongol dominance was broken. Never again. This triumph also fostered a unified Polish national spirit, setting the stage for the Polish kingdom's re-establishment. Presently, this victory is still commemorated in Krakow with a parade, including a reenactment of the Mongols, known for diligently recording conquests, scarcely acknowledged this campaign. One doesn't report their failures. Ultimately, the 1287 invasion narrative provides a profound lesson. The mightiest army, largest empire, or most clever strategy means Poland, a nation repeatedly brutalized, learned, adjusted, and ultimately endured. They demonstrated that even the invincible can be overcome. It merely requires avoiding the